Hey everyone, it's Christine here on my morning run. And one of the places that Jimmy and I discovered during this pandemic is this lovely green space here at City College near where we live. I'll just do a little circular view here. It's right by I think it's like the Advanced Science Research Center, I believe is the name of these buildings. I'm only showing you part of it, but it extends like back in that direction and back in this direction. There's fields here where people walk their dogs, and it's become a real place of respite for us. We'll come here, I'll run through this place. Sometimes come here and sat, had a drink, sat and talked. There's a nice, on the patio over there, there's a nice little view of central Harlem. And it's just one of the few sort of quiet spaces in New York. You can still hear some sirens in the background, so it's never totally quiet and still in New York City, but it's one of the more quiet and still places. So you guys should come here, especially if you live in Harlem. It's like right around maybe like 134th or so in Convent, I think, or Hamilton Terrace. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to find. If you come through St. Nicholas Park, you can you'll see it. Anyways, so in this morning's meditation, as I was running, I was just thinking about how in this pandemic, two disciplines that have really been my lifelines are silence and running, essentially. I don't run nearly as much as I should, but those are two things that have really been life-giving for me. And I was thinking about how when I run, it's really hard for me to do anything else. So I either have to be listening to like pumped up music that gets me going or just nothing. And when I first started running, I used to feel like I should be using this time more productively, like listening to podcasts, I should be praying for people, just something like more, at least seemingly meaningful. But what I found is just like physically and mentally, I just could not do it. Like I realized I cannot run and think or absorb information all at the same time. And really when I'm running, the only thing that I can do is breathe. Like just physically, mentally, in every way. For me, for a wimp like me, it's like so demanding that all I can do is just focus on my breathing. And as you know, runners know, breathing is just so important to the whole act of running. And that's part of what I love about it, is that running is this very kind of primal activity that human beings have been doing from the very beginning, and that breath is so important to the act of running. And in the Old Testament, the Hebrew word for breath is the same word for spirit and for wind. And I just have always loved that. When you think about the breath of God, the spirit of God, the wind of God, and that breath is so elemental to our lives. Like if we stopped breathing, we would stop living. And so I began to see running, even though I'm not like verbally praying in my mind, began to see just the simple act of running as being that is prayer. And when I'm running and just focusing on breathing, I'm present to the present moment in a way that I never am at any other point in my life. And I really feel that it's at those moments that I am most connected to myself, to God, and to others, to our world. So I shared in my last meditation about how I started doing these, the 2.23 runs with Maud, which I'm still doing, and especially in the aftermath of George Floyd's death, and being reminded again of Eric Garner's death, and just those words of "I can't breathe." It made running those runs and breathing in the midst of those runs that much more poignant, and so I would think about that as I was just breathing. Okay, maybe I'm having a hard time consciously praying verbally, but as I'm breathing, just allowing that to be that breath of prayer for our nation, for our Black brothers and sisters, around racism in our country. And just to breathe in the Spirit of God and to breathe out. And that it's not, I think prayer and things like breathing and focusing on our breath is not just this sort of self-indulgent practice, but really it is connected. The inner work and the outer work are inextricably connected, and the ways that we can breathe in the Spirit of God and be rooted and grounded in life and what we know is really true and enduring, and then to be able to breathe out and bring that presence and that peace into the work that we do out in the world is so crucial and so important. We can't forget that or neglect that. So I'm ending my meditation here in front of St. Luke's Episcopal Church. You can see St. Luke peeking out behind that black shroud behind me. You can see that somebody's been sleeping here under the scaffolding. And if anything, it is just a reminder of why we need to breathe. So one real practical thing that I do is I actually set an alarm that goes off at noon every day, and I named the alarm "Stop and Take 3 Deep Breaths." So I commend that practice to you. It actually interrupts my day, and it gets me connected again to that breath and that wind and that Spirit of God in me and through me. So blessings on you. Breathe this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.